somebody has they're not locked up, and I can tell by where they are with their writing and what they're expressing if, you know, they're ready for all the technical stuff. Even though it's a good thing to know, but you can't edit and create. And that's the other thing. Even with, you know, I've had professional writers where they want to start editing way too prematurely before they fully investigate it.
How do you mediate between encouraging people to create and making sure that other people in the class aren't offended?
What do you mean, offended by what?
Well, I was in your writing workshop and I kept worrying myself about offending other people with what I was going to read. So, because it was so harsh. And so I assume you're stirring up and encouraging your classes to explore their creativity, yet I know my own creativity is really dark and offensive to so many people. So I'm just kind of curious how you deal with that. Like, you know, what if I wanted someone was using, like, people get offended really easily.
Well, I think that there's a difference when it's in a workshop, and that also you're with people who are also taking chances and also feel like that about their work. You know, oh, it's too dark, oh, it's too depressing, oh, you know. So what I find is actually talking about it, the group can usually take a lot more than the writer or the narrator thinks, and it's usually more about their shame or what they think it's going to sound like. And so that also then goes to everyone feeling safe and not judged, and that it's usually the opposite. It might be, usually I find that people, we all do, I do it too, we overprotect ourselves, and sometimes it's not that we think, oh, that's going to be too awful to say, it's that it makes us too vulnerable. And then when that happens, it is such a gift to everybody. When you get vulnerable, you actually give other people permission to be vulnerable.
So you haven't had the problem where you've so stirred up people's creativity that other people in the class are like cringing and hating and getting offended and saying, I'm really offended that you read that. That hasn't really been a problem.
There's been a rare occasion, and usually, you know, it's always about it triggering something personal for the person. You know, that's what it usually is. It is conscious or unconscious, but usually it's about wherever they are, and it usually reminds them something unconsciously of their story or their life experience. Yeah, I hardly ever have anyone write anything that, you know, is appalling. It's usually because people are writing from that deep truth, and so there's no way that could be offensive. And then also for them to find out it's okay to say it, it's okay to write it. And also I always remind people, even if you're writing the truth, it changes from here to here, and it is a part of you. It isn't you. So it could be the narrator writing it. It could be the, you know, you as the character. It's still truth plus imagination.
Have you ever stopped someone's reading in class because it was just too offensive?
No. I can't think of a time. I mean, sometimes I'll have to mediate because it may be pushing somebody else's button, so I'll just have to address that.
Yeah.
Or that comes out in feedback. But no, never.
How do you address that when it's pushing someone else's button?
Well, just to talk about, you know, what, you know, having them recognize that they're really projecting, and it's kind of a mirror for where they are. And then I suggest that then maybe something that you want to write about. When we, you know, what I usually say is when we have really strong reactions, positively or negatively, that's a really good guide of, oh, there's something there to write about then.
Do you ever get scared by what people are reading?
No. No.
You don't think, who's this monster is in my...
No, because I'm really looking at it as, I don't, because I see what they're trying to express, and I also know that, yeah, they're coming from an honest place, so never, No, and they'll get embarrassed, or they'll squirm, but, yeah, I mean, you know, luckily I've never had a psychopath, I guess, in the class.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, who's the French guy? De Sade, like, what happened if one discovered one had a Marquis de Sade in one's writing workshop?
I don't know. I can't posit that.
You've
But
never had a Marquis de Sade in your writing.
But I mean, if he was in my workshop, then you know, I would just get him to tell the truth. And if you're coming from the truth,
so you've never been afraid, as long, I mean, you felt someone was telling the truth. It was never a truth that you couldn't hear.
no, and I mean, I've heard, you know, I feel like because of what goes on in the world and in life and in families, that I've become a sociologist. I have heard everything. You know, me and Oprah. I mean, the other thing is, it's made, the longer I teach, it's made my childhood look rosier and rosier. You know, I thought I had a really sad childhood. Nothing.
I assume you have strong political views and other views, but you never find that interfering with your teaching, like you're able to like step out of that and step into...
I think it's probably usually because it is pretty like-minded. There was one student that she felt really uncomfortable that everybody was so liberal.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed, you know, and I told her, you know, we all have the right to what we think and feel, and because of her story, which I won't go into, she felt really threatened.
How about you? Did you ever feel threatened by someone's right-wing views in your writing class?
No, because I do look at it, you know, if I'm at a party, maybe, but when I'm, you know, the facilitator, it really is, you know, I'm just the listener. I just want to help them get out what they want to say. And I'm glad if they can feel safe enough to say what they really think. Because what happens is, you know, we look at who they are and where they come from. And also as an actor, you can't help but just look at, well, how is this character who they are? What is the humanity of them? So you can't judge them. Because if you understand where they come from, then, you know, that's their experience, or that's what they were taught.
Do you often have to mediate conflicts in your writing class?
Sometimes, not often. I mean, usually it will come out in feedback. Feedback really is a skill, and so sometimes people don't realize that they're giving inappropriate feedback, or often because people are writing about such personal things, people want to help, they want to give advice.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't feel encouraged enough, or sometimes if people don't know what to say in terms of feedback, people take that negatively, where it may just be, it just was so deep that it was sinking in. Yeah, usually it's just in feedback.
Have you always had a big laugh?
I had to put your accent into it to understand. Yeah. I can't be anonymous.
And did you ever have periods of your life where you tried to suppress it, or you've always just run with it?
Oh, good Lord, no. I mean, I think sometimes I'm too serious, and I wish I'd laugh more. But, no. No, I mean, if I